Well, good morning guys. Yeah, so on day 3 I've just come out with the Sony A1 and the vlogging camera Pocket DJI 2 just to get some video and footage for yourselves, and then I'll come to some conclusions because I've had a look at the results now of the A7 II with the 200-600 and the Sony A1 with the 600mm. I mean, obviously totally unfair comparison, but yeah, interesting. Anyway, I'll let you know the results later on after I've got some more footage. Amazing. But yeah, this is the third visit to this location, and very nice it is too. Beautiful spot. The other side of the road from the visitor car park, and yeah, it's very nice here. Beautiful. So here we are with the Sony A1 and the 600mm out, and I suppose that's what we always gravitate to. You always go to your best lens and camera combination going, and in a fixed position like this it's difficult to beat the 600mm for small birds and the Sony A1 with the 50 megapixels. Ooh, a couple of noisy ducks fly in, but oh, and fly off again. Great. So yes, I mean, a beginner setup, full frame setup, is well worth acquiring. The Sony A2 with the 200-600 is a great starter combination under sort of £3,000, and for just over £3,000 in the Sony lineup I'd probably go for the A7 III, because you get the bigger battery, better battery life, and yeah, just a slightly quicker autofocus system again. But when you've got a subject in the position, it's not vital. So the differences are, when you're using beginner gear, f6.3, not a lot of the background is thrown out. When you take a picture of a heron, for example, you tend to get all the detail of the background and there's no blur, as opposed to an f4 image. So that's one reason we pay the big bucks for the Sony A1 and the 600mm. The Sony A1, of course, as well, is 50 megapixels, and although the sandpipers are not that far away, there's still distance enough to require cropping in the images. And again, if you're cropping from 50 megapixels, you can get a lot more for bang for your buck than 24.3 million pixels. So yeah, that's another consideration. The other one, of course, the main one, is the autofocus speed. Do have difficulties with the sandbank here, that it's not easy to pick up. Even with the Sony A1 you still miss shots because the sand martins are similar coloration to the background, so it evens the playing field a little bit, but still you'll get far more shots in focus with the Sony A1. Probably about, how many? 5 to 1, I'd say. I get at least 5 times as many with the Sony A1. That's why we're using the Sony A1 today. But yeah, I mean, for a beginner starter setup for £3,000, it's not bad. But no, obviously £18,000. That's why we pay the big bucks. You do get the shots. I mean, you get the in-flight shots all round. I mean, it is a lot of money, but obviously in life you do tend to get what you pay for, and yeah, you certainly pay a lot of money, but you do get a lot for your money. So I wouldn't rush out and buy a 600mm and a Sony A1 straight away. I would stick with a beginner setup for a good couple of years, because it's not all about the camera equipment either. There is skill involved in getting the shots. So summing up, yeah, I'll probably get 5 times as many keepers with the Sony A1, but if you're not there, you can't get the shots. So just remember to get out there, have fun, and yeah, enjoy what camera you've got. You may be in a unique situation which no one else is in, and you can still get that shot. You can still get that perch bird shot, for example, which I did get on the Sony A1, but you may have spotted it when nobody else did. So yeah, just keep shooting. Doesn't matter what you got, just keep shooting. So the main thing is to pre-focus, whether you're using the Sony A1 or the A7 II. It's absolutely essential to get some lock, get some perspective on where your subject is. So yeah, make sure you pre-focus, absolutely essential. And of course the other advantage of the Sony A1 is it's totally silent when we're shooting 30 frames per second. We're quite clunking away with the A7 II, and yeah, need to shut that camera up really. Differences are vast. I must admit also the ergonomics of the camera, the A7 II, obviously Sony have adapted the camera to now the A1 is just about perfect for me now. I've got totally used to it, whereas the A7 II is quite awkward in the hand still, and the buttons are not laid out in such terrific fashion. Well, I've had some very nice time here on my 3 sessions with the San Martins here. Yeah, got some great shots, and it's that familiarity with the subject. Once you've been 2 or 3 times, you start to get used to what the bird's going to do, what activity it's going to do next, and where it's going to come into the frame, and that's when you get the really good shots, when you work out the subject's behaviour. So it's not all about the camera, it is about knowing where to point it and when to press the shutter. We could have an awful lot of rejects here. You'd think you could just point it in the right direction and sort of spray and pray. Well, you can do, but you'll be on your computer for hours. You know, it will take forever to go through the images. So don't recommend spraying and praying, not even at 5 frames per second. So although we know exactly where these birds are on this sandbank in the wall, we still have to locate the subject and get it in the frame. Subtle differences make huge things. And the background as well, we're trying to diffuse the background a bit, because otherwise it is quite distracting being an artificial background. So do you need £18,000 worth of camera gear to have fun in wildlife photography? No, you don't. But if you want to get the really good shots, then you do tend to gravitate towards the best equipment you can afford. Anyway, have a good one. Bye from Camilla and I.